What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here to delve even deeper into the game. Spurs 1, Leicester 2, which was a very damning game for Ange Postecoglou and Tottenham Hotspur in terms of the relegation battle. But before we get into that, let's show some love to our sponsors, Stocks FC. Link in the description below, QR code on screen. Go and show them some love, people, as they've been showing us a hella lot of love over the past month or so. Let's go and have a look how our stocks are doing. Richarlison, Romero, Foden, Decky, Van de Ven, all still Mateta, all showing us still some nice profit. And, you know, these players as well are going to be getting rewards. You look at Foden, scored again on the weekend against Chelsea. Richarlison scored again against Leicester. And then you've got stocks like Romero and Mickey Van de Ven going up in the anticipation of their returns. Mateta as well. He's in a real rich vein of form. So it looks as though the tips that we've been giving you over the last couple of weeks are really coming to fruition. Something interesting which I've spotted as well, if you go and look at the latest IPO that's being launched, is Amad Diallo, who is obviously smashing it for Manchester United at the moment. If a goal is going to come to Manchester United, it feels like it's all Amad Diallo is most definitely going to be involved. And in 18 hours, then the IPO is launching, so be able to purchase your stocks in Amad Diallo, $1.73. There is a 25,000 stock sharing in Amad Diallo, so get in while you can, because if you don't get in, then all the other remaining stocks will be deleted. But yeah, look, get involved in Stocks FC, guys, but remember that, you know, it's not used for a second wage or anything like that. It really isn't. It's just a bit of fun, guys. Me and Sim have been really enjoying it over the past couple of months, getting involved. And only use what you can afford to lose, people. It's just a bit of fun. Like I said, not to be used as a second wage, but link is in description below. If you use our link, you get 5 free loan players. We only got 2, and the 2 loan players we did get was Jeremy Doku and Elijah Adebayo, but you get 5 packs to open, and all the profit that these players make for completely free, you get to keep the profits at the end of the loan duration. So link in description below, QR code on screen. Get involved in Stocks FC. But let's delve into this Leicester game. An absolutely shocking performance and shocking result. And you know, let's start off at the lineup that Ange chose yesterday, because we had 2 changes from the midweek game at Europe, where on Thursday night, Kinski in goal, Pape Sarr in the middle of the park. He alluded after the game, well, he didn't allude, he actually said it point blank, saying Pape Sarr should not have started this game because he was injured. So why the hell are you starting him? It just makes no sense whatsoever with the options that you have at your disposal, albeit, you know, limited options. I definitely grant him that with the massive injuries that we've got at the moment. He is managing the team with, you know, hands tied behind his back. However, he doesn't do himself favours with options that he has, because on the bench yesterday he had Sergio Reguilon, where he could have played Reguilon at left back and then put Archie Gray into the midfield. He had Mikey Moore, which you could potentially give Sonny or Decky a bit of a respite. And Decky, by God, does he need it. You can see Decky every single game he is running on empty, and this game was no different. He had Will Lancashire on the bench, who, for some God-known reason, since that Galatasaray game, scoring a goal and having a fairly good performance before getting sent off, he hasn't seemed to be able to get any sort of minutes. He had Yves Bissouma on the bench. He had Callum Olusesi on the bench, who I thought in a brief cameo last week actually did himself the world of good. I actually liked what I saw from him. So whether you start on him or just bring him on. He had Yang Min-hyuk. I mean, what the hell's going on with Yang Min-hyuk? Because we brought him in January and he hasn't had 1 minute yet. So it's not like he had 0 options on the bench, because he had options. So why is he not using the likes of Lancashire, Moore and Reguilon a bit more from the start, when you can see how dead our players are?
That's excuse me, that's a $64 million question, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is. And you mentioned it last week, and others have mentioned it as well. What has Pedro Porro got to do to get a rest? Because, like you said last week with the Everton game, we could have rested him and played Spencer and Reguilon because he could have a rest for Europe. Didn't. He had to play Europe. And then we've got the same thing this week. He's played Porro again. Porro's going to have to start. I just don't get there. This is the thing. There have been options, and people have been wanting to see what these youth players can do. And we've been told Project Youth is going to happen. The youth, apart from Bergvall and Gray, don't get a look in. And then the one where you've left out when you were listing that team, and obviously match of the day ripped into him, is James Maddison with the word he was sore. On match of the day too, they're like, if you're sore, you play, or you go on the bench. They said it is a terrible reason for missing the game, especially when you look at Maddison. He's hardly started games, has he?
He started the last couple, but I mean, all in all, when you're looking at his minutes compared to, exactly, yeah.
And to say you're sore, you've got Pape Matar playing when he shouldn't be playing because he's got a knock, but Maddison won't play because he's sore. But like I said, there are options there. Basuma could have easily come in. You literally could have given Gray and Porro a rest and put Basuma and Reguilon in those positions, and that would have been two players getting a bit of a rest, hopefully for 90 minutes. And then if the youth players have come in and tried to get the job done, and we were saying in pre-season, they look like the best players.
Yeah.
But where are they going to get experience from? We were told we're going to see them in Europe. We've seen a couple of them, and they're only getting a few minutes. So all these youngsters that we thought we were going to see and get some experience in the legs and see what they can do, they're not even getting that. Even when we are absolutely exhausted and need some energy, need to get our players rested, we still don't do it.
It's just ridiculous because, like, even before the last game against Everton, before the game, Ange goes, oh, well, I need to play Porro because I've got no options. Well, actually you do, because Reguilon's sitting there on the bench week in, week out. And whether you think he's good enough or not is not the question here. The question is give some respite to your players, because Reguilon is good enough to fill in on a role at least on a one game off basis. You know what I mean? Like, the whole thing is just ridiculous. And I think Ange is, like I keep saying, is doing himself no favours, and he's playing players consistently into the red zone. Yep. And it's only a matter of time until a Kulusevski or a Pedro Porro get injured, right? Kulusevski, he's getting more tired and more jaded every single game that goes by. And this game was no different. I mean, Kulusevski, he gets himself in great positions, but when he gets the ball and when he tries to go into physical challenges, he can't do that anymore. And that was his biggest asset of his game before the tiredness really set in. And he's lost all kind of physicality to his game.
He has. And you look at, I was just thinking whilst you were talking, Ben, I can't remember the last game where in the build-up to the next game, we haven't declared there's another player injured.
Yeah.
I actually cannot remember the last time that we were able to say, right, everyone, not everyone, because obviously, but everyone that was available the game before is available for this game now, whether it be on the bench or whatever. And like I said, these players are on empty. Kulusevski, my word, Kulusevski and Porro, who we can see their form has been dipping a little bit. Kulusevski has been outstanding all season for us, or a majority of the season, but you can see how tired he is. He's giving the ball away a lot more often than normal because he is absolutely exhausted playing 90 minutes after 90 minutes. Do you play in the centre? Do you play in the right? Go here, go there. And Porro, who on his day is one hell of a phenomenal asset to this football club, but his defending has gone right down. His ability to cross the ball, we've seen, has always been there. That's not going anywhere. But he is exhausted.
Yeah. And I felt like Pedro Porro yesterday was like probably our biggest threat offensively at times, but also our biggest liability at the back.
Correct. I completely agree with you. Like he is busting the gut to get forward, but then when he's back, he's getting caught out of position, or he's trying to run back into place, and then you've got midfielders going out there to compensate that. Then there's the space in the middle that they can go through. What you just said about Porro is absolutely spot on. He's our biggest threat, but our biggest danger down the right.
Yeah. But in terms of the game yesterday, Ange said after the game, right, the players are giving their all for the team right now, and I do tend to agree. I thought on the game on Thursday night that was definitely the case. I was coming after the game, you know, in high praise for the players, and I'm looking at the players' performances yesterday in terms of what they have left to give for the team and what they are giving for the team. And I do think they're giving everything. I really do. And yeah, that doesn't mean it's a perfect performance or a good performance by any stretch of the imagination. But they're out on their feet. They've been asked to, overloaded work. They're not really training because of, the same players are playing every week because of the situation that they're in. I don't think they can do much better, to be honest, with the tactics that we're being asked to play and blah, blah, blah. I do think they're giving everything on the pitch. Do you not agree?
I'm more in line with agreeing with you than not. What I did like in that first half is that looked a little bit more like the Sonny of old in the first half. Taking on players, trying to get his shots in, hitting the bar. He looked very up for it. But then obviously he faded away. Like you said, everyone is giving it their all, but it's like on FIFA when you push that triangle button and when they've run out of energy and they're getting there about 20, 30 minutes into a game.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I can't do this anymore. I'm exhausted. The tank is empty. And that's where the problems are coming in, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. 100% right. 100% right. That's the best analogy for it, because it's like you're tapping on that button, the sprint button, the sprint button, the sprint button, and then all of a sudden you're out of energy by the time the second half comes. And that's literally Spurs in a nutshell every single game right now.
Unfortunate, isn't it?
And I said it in the build up to the game, in the match previews. I don't know if you watched it, but I said I wouldn't be surprised if we go 1-0 up here and we're in the ascendancy and then drop off in the second half and draw the game. I mean, I said draw the game. I didn't say lose the game. I didn't envisage us to concede 2 goals in the first 5 minutes of the second half. And the defending on show for those 2 goals was nothing short of embarrassing, really. I mean, where do you want to start with those goals? Like, seriously, like.
Well,
Jamie,
first of all, the Richarlison goal.
Yeah, brilliant cross from Pedro Porro. Unbelievable cross.
Do you remember, Ben, we've had this conversation many a time when we said we need to get service for Solanke.
Yeah.
And we said, you know what, the only person that can cross a football in regular on tap and get it in for him on a play is Pedro Porro. We saw that against Newcastle when Solanke scored that header. And it happened again with Richarlison. It's a fantastic ball in. And Richarlison 2 goals in 2 Premier League games, and both of them colliding with the post.
Yeah.
As soon as he collided with the post, like, oh no. He took that goal very well, didn't he? Or the ball made it, didn't it? It took the goalkeeper out, the defence out, and Richie was there to put it away, wasn't he?
He was. And on Pedro Porro, I felt like that was pretty much the only good cross he put in on the day. That's the reality. And I felt for Richarlison because obviously he needs to come off early. Ange said at halftime he was feeling his groin and all that kind of stuff. But I felt like for the majority of the game, or the first half anyway, he was just chasing lost causes and he wasn't getting the deliveries. Yeah,
I mean, it was scratch for us, I think, in the first half. There were a few moments, like with the Sonny shots, that we looked like the football was good, but even after the goal we scored, we gave the ball away so needlessly, so many times trying to play out from the back. We heaped pressure on ourselves. Our passing was not the best yesterday at all, was it? All around the pitch, let alone Pedro Porro. But we got together, got that goal, and then the tale of woe really ensured, didn't it?
Yeah, I do feel like a couple of players, I mean, one player in the first half I thought had a pretty good display, apart from, a few rash moments, was Rodrigo Bentancur. Yeah. And I think since he's come back, in the last game, brilliant display in Europe. And again, I wouldn't say it was a brilliant display yesterday, but it was definitely a lot better than maybe some of his counterparts. And, with him having a bit of lack of minutes over the last month or so with the injuries and the suspensions that he's had, it's no surprise, is it?
No, he was the best of an okay bunch, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He's certainly the calm one in midfield, apart from the few rash tackles or, but he definitely makes a difference when he's in there. Obviously, he's just come back from that horror. It could have been a lot worse from Liverpool. And you got to look at his fitness from that injury, from the suspensions, the 7-game one, then coming back and getting one. This season has been so stop-start for him. Every time he can try and get a bit of rhythm, something happens injury-wise. He does look calm. But again, second half went back to being non-existent, didn't he?
Yeah. He tied out through the game 100%, which shouldn't really be happening with the amount of minutes that he's got in his legs. Yep. Lucas Bergvall, I mean, this guy just keeps up his standards week in, week out, no matter what. You can see as well, he's starting to tire a little bit in games because of the workload that we're asking him to do. But he's got such great energy about him that he just keeps going. So, I mean, he's a credit to the team for sure. Yep. But in terms of the goals that we conceded, the first one, I mean, all started off with a bad ball from Pedro Porro, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And Joe, I don't know how you felt, Ben, or people in the chat or the game. As soon as Bentancur lost out in that tackle and they're out wide, the right was on the wall. You could just see it unfolding in front of your eyes, couldn't you? It was a good old-fashioned, old-school tackle that they went in for. Leicester came out on top. The ball from was it Dikova Reed that got the assist for Vardy? That ball was perfect. Yes, there's a bit of a confusion between defender and Kinski.
Kinski's got to get that, surely, though.
You would have thought so, but does he think the defender's got it? But that's the thing, you've got to be alert to these things, haven't you? Your actions and reflexes as a keeper. But the ball, you've got to give incredible credit for the ball. That pass was an incredible, and that's you know what the rubber of the green is. It was kind of behind Vardy, wasn't it? Caught his trailing leg and then ended up in front of him, which is just our luck. But it was from that sliding tackle, we are so wide open that you could just see it happening, couldn't you? And of all people, Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, but it's just like Pedro Porro, because of where he positions himself on the pitch, or whether Ange positions him there, whatever. He gets caught high up the pitch with the poor pass, and then Dragusin gets pulled out of position, and then there's space in the box, and Kinski should have got there. Archie Gray kind of loses Vardy at the back post as well. So I thought it was just a shit show, pretty much, from everyone involved. And then a few minutes later, I mean, it's an unbelievable strike, don't get me wrong. Unbelievable strike from Canus. But Ben Davis, one of Ben Davis or Dragusin have got to be closing down the man. I know he's far out and you don't expect him to score from there, but regardless, you've got to be a bit more aggressive and you need to be going to the man.
Well, not just that, from when he had the ball, the amount of space that he was found in. Even from when he picked it up before where he started his run.
Donut FC, man. Donut FC.
It was completely wide open space that he was just allowed to run into. And Joe, when the shot went in, I actually thought it had gone wide. I was like, oh, thank God. And then I saw them all set up. I was like, oh, no, here we go. And it was just, in 5 minutes, we switched off. In 5 minutes, in Premier League football, you cannot switch off, no matter who you're playing. When everything is going rosy, you can't switch off, and especially when everything is going against you, you can't switch off. And we came out for that second half. I think we're still in the changing room.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes cost us dearly, and the writing was on the wall from that second goal, wasn't it? We could have still been playing and we wouldn't have scored. Absolutely.
And it's just like, as soon as that second goal went in, you were just resigned to defeat, because you knew we didn't have the energy. You didn't know we had the anything about us to get back into the game because of the situation that we're in. And we controlled a lot of possession. You know, we definitely kept the ball away from Leicester, but we just couldn't create any meaningful chance on goal. And, you know, you go 2-1 down, and then you take off the man that scored for you and your striker.
Yep.
What are you expecting?
Well, Joe, what you have to say as well, and I will say, so you have to give credit to Leicester, because Leicester needed that victory, got 2-1 up, realised they had the majority of that second half left, and it was imperative that they kept their shape, stuck to their discipline, stuck to their guns, and just did what other teams have done and find us out, and just don't give them space, don't let them counter-attack, don't let them hyper. And they did it. They stayed structured, they stayed disciplined. We had some opportunities, but couldn't take them. And we were left to pick up the pieces, because teams know if they get ahead of us, just get 2 banks of 4 or whatever it may be, and stay in shape, and they won't be able to break you down.
Yeah, and this is a Leicester team that, you know, are conceding a minimum of 2 goals a game for a long time now. Probably let's just go from when Ruud has taken over the job. I think they got a lucky win in the first game 3-1 against West Ham. But ever since that game, it's 2 goals a game minimum that they've been conceding. And we just couldn't hurt them. We just could not hurt them. And that was just the most frustrating thing about it, because as much as I thought that Spurs weren't going to win the game, I was going into the game feeling like no matter the injuries, you got to have enough about you to beat a team that have lost 7 games in a row. A Leicester team that just seems to be carved open by everyone that they play against in our home stadium. No home win since that Aston Villa game in October, I think it was, or October. I mean, I've never seen it this bad, particularly at home.
So you've got to look at it as well with this. We've played the promoted teams, the 3 promoted teams, 4 times. We've won 1, lost to Ipswich, lost to Leicester, and drew. We've taken 4 points out of 12 games from the promoted 3. It's just open season at White Hart Lane, isn't it?
Yeah. And do you ever remember a season where we've been so bad against the promoted teams? Because whenever I just remember us putting aside every promoted side.
Yeah, the worst season I can remember for a long time is obviously the season where Klinsmann came back to stop us from getting relegated, and I can't remember back then exactly who the promoted teams were, but though these stats are not great, and even if you look at Wolves, we've got a draw with Wolves, so I don't know, that's
Lost
and
to
they're
Everton
the ones that we're in. Everton, yeah. Our record against the teams around us right now is not even in our favour.
Yeah, I know. That's why I keep thinking, like, everyone keeps kind of brushing away the relegation thing, like, oh, we'll be all right in the end. We're too good to go down. We're Tottenham. You know, we don't do relegation battles and all this kind of stuff. But, I mean, like, don't be so sure. I mean, look, do I think we're going to go down? No, probably not. But I wouldn't just brush it off just willy-nilly and think we're not in trouble, because we're losing to Leicester. We drew against Wolves at home, so that's 1 point well, if you look at Wolves, Ipswich, Leicester, and Everton, right? All the teams that are below us that we've played at home, we've taken 4 points out of those 4, and Ipswich and Everton was like second game of the season, you know?
Yeah.
How is that anywhere near good enough?
I'll add to this as well. If we had been Manchester United, as in Manchester United where we were right now, we'd all be bantering them, saying they're in a relegation fight.
Absolutely.
We would all be saying it and bantering it, but obviously people say, no, it's Manchester United. Like the same with us. They won't go down, they won't do this. We are there. We are there right now, and it is worrying times because, like I said, the fixtures coming up aren't great. We've still got to go to places like Chelsea away.
Yeah.
Where we know what happens. The points are not looking good. And like I said, when you sent me that tweet yesterday saying that we still have not got the points that we got from our first 10 games last season, and we have played 23 games, that's ridiculous. And from what if I remember correctly as well, when they came out the second half, the commentary here was telling us apparently we are 19 points worse off than we were this time last season.
Yeah, not surprising.
I see these kind of things and stats. I don't see how people could say, "Don't worry, things are going to change," and think that as soon as all our players come back, they're going to be in peak top condition, all on fire and all on form, and all raring to go. These players are all going to have their minutes managed, aren't they?
Yeah.
To get back up, it's not. It's worrying times. It is very, very worrying times, and that performance yesterday just summed up a lot of it, didn't it?
It did, and you know, I go back to what you're saying about our fixtures, right? In the Premier League alone, Brentford away, Man U at home, Ipswich away, Man City at home, Bournemouth at home, Fulham away, and Chelsea away. These are all the games that we have to play until we play Southampton at home, right? How many points, even if we get some injuries back, even if we recover Van der Ven and Cuti Romero, right? How many points are we getting from all those games? I still don't think many. I don't think we beat Brentford away this weekend because we're not even going to recover any of these players. They're going to be out on their feet from Thursday night. The Man United game at home is off the back of... is it a midweek game? Oh, we got a week's rest from Villa to Man United, so maybe some players might be recovered there. But, you know, Man United, they have proved that they can pull it out in the big games against against Liverpool, I think it was, and against Man City, you know. But, you know, when they play the smaller, maybe we are one of the smaller teams because we are where we are right now in the league. So, I mean, Man United... You never know what Man United are going to turn up, so that could easily be a win, loss, or draw. I don't know what way that's going to go. Ipswich away. I mean, do you really back us to go to Ipswich and get a result? I mean, Bournemouth at home, Fulham away, Chelsea away. I really don't see many points there.
I don't. And you look at it, Fulham away, we got turned over last season, didn't we? Like literally, we fell apart. That was after the 4-0 win against Aston Villa. And without Van der Ven. Brentford, we've only ever drawn there since that stadium has been, or since they've been in the Premier League. Chelsea away, we know what we're talking about. Ipswich, that stadium's going to be rocking like they have been all season. It's going to be a very hostile place for Spurs. And when we turn up at hostile places and they want football matches that are based on power, fight, resilience, we can't keep up. I don't see. I honestly, I am seriously struggling to see a run of victories or even a victory. At the moment.
Yeah, no, and you know, I'm exactly there with you, man. I just don't know where the next win is coming from, and that's the most frightening thing about this whole situation. But I guess let's finish off the match review talking about maybe the one positive that was yesterday, and that was, you know, fans making their voices heard towards the board yesterday. Daniel Levy sitting, obviously, in his usual spot. The South Stand, you know, it was actually a really quiet day at the Spurs Stadium yesterday. You could hear a pin drop for the majority of it, but when the Levy out chants got going and stuff like that, you know, the South Stand was standing up and making themselves be heard, and the banners that came out as well. So the guys that organised that, an unbelievable job for them. Change for Spurs and Jay, so big up to them. But it's just great that finally some action is starting to be taken, and this should only be the start. Yeah.
It should only be the start. Like you said, I'll start off by saying a massive, massive well done and respect to Jay and Change for Spurs, who Change for Spurs has come under or Change for Tottenham as they're known, come under a lot of who are you? Show your face. What are you doing? When we were protesting a couple of years ago, went to do a march, but they cancelled it. They started setting things up, and Jay arranged the Liverpool one. And then obviously there was another one planned, but they were waiting for the banners to come, and due to Christmas, it didn't happen. And then they went under the radar for this one and said, right, we're not leaking anything out. We're not doing anything. We're preparing. We're doing this. We're working. Ironically, Change for Spurs and Jay showed Lange how to move in the shadows, because boy, did they move in the shadows. And what they planned and orchestrated yesterday was an absolute masterpiece in how to get the voices heard and how to get the support behind you. And like you said, the sound of it, I couldn't hear a lot of it at the Scotland Yard because obviously there's people there talking. But when I've watched it back and seen the videos, the fan base went up and in that stand, and we've sung it, and I've sung it with you in that stadium, Ben, as being it will do one round and you have the odd person or a majority of people looking at you like you're a vile piece of work. But yesterday was the day where a lot more people have reached their breaking point. It was brilliantly done, and like you said, this has just got to be the start. Yeah. This isn't just, it's not going to be one protest, one loud noise, and then the battle is won. It needs to be constant, because where we're going right now as a football club is not where any fan wants to be. Whether you back Levy or not, whether you back Andrew or not, this is not what you want to see at Tottenham Hotspur on the pitch. And it was a very big ray of sunshine on a very, very dark day.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I urge any fan, any match-going fan, or even non-match-going fan, to take action and to make your voices heard. If you're a non-match-going fan, there are things you can do. Brian Daigle obviously lives in Canada, and there's a lot that he does in terms of making his voice heard. So there is a lot that non-match-going fans can do. But in terms of the match-going fans, I think it's time for fans to really start using their voice inside the stadium, outside the stadium, wherever they're at. Just make your voices heard, start the chants, join in the chants, take your own banners, whatever it may be.
Yep.
But action needs to be taken, and now I think we've got the ball really started to roll. Because look, whatever we want to say about the protests that maybe I've been to or Brian's been to, we've had numbers, not many numbers there, and the ball never really started getting rolling as much as it has now. So I think right now is a time to use the momentum and to really start getting your voices heard against this board. And you see great channels like Last Word on Spurs, us here, really starting to talk about it a lot more. And I think it's time for big channels like Last Word on Spurs and maybe us to really team up and maybe use our audience as a platform to build this on.
Well, Ben, I'm going to do it again, as you know I always will do. I have said on many a time that if it hadn't been for your channel, who constantly allowed people like myself, Stel, Danny, I can go on with the list of people from when we started coming on this channel. And always, listen, people have a go at me and say, all I do is talk about Levy, all I do is talk. Yeah, and the reason I could do it is on this platform. No other channels really wanted to talk about it. It was passing like, yeah, Levy, what's he going to do? Yeah, but bye. Whether people have believed that you, yourself, or Sim, or the channel are against the board or are scared to say anything, no matter what happens and why, I will always stand up for We Are Tottenham TV and always have your backs, as you know, like you've had mine. Is if it hadn't been for We Are Tottenham TV, a lot of people like myself wouldn't have been given the time of day. And it's gone from being a passing comment to a hot topic on pretty much every channel, and not just Spurs channels now. So now, after watching Last Word on Spurs and Ricky and Crackers yesterday, and Crackers has been to one of our protests. The big channels are starting to say it. The big channels are starting to say they want action. And the most important thing now is everyone getting together and doing what they can to make sure that what Jay and Change for Spurs achieved yesterday is just the beginning. And the bigger accounts, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Twitter, whether it be whatever, TikTok, we're going to win the war with numbers, and that's what we need. And it looks like they're finally coming. So well done for always letting me and other people on, Ben and Sim, and these other channels that are now demanding change or wanting change. Fair play to you. May have taken longer than I previously thought we would have done, but we're there now. And welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, and let's all come together to get change for this football club. Because I believe once these owners have gone, all the hope, not saying all of a sudden we go and become Man City or a trophy winning year in, year out team, but there'll be hope, there'll be optimism, there'll be going into a window, right, what are we going to do? Are we going to, what's this owner about? Going for cups, going for foot. Yes, these owners want, because any new owner hasn't got to do a lot of this football club now, do they? I will say, yeah. Levy has put us in the tremendous position. I will credit him where he deserves it, and he has put us in a very, very good position. With the stadium, everything is there. And you know the worst thing about it is Levy could have been deemed a hero. He could have been deemed a hero if he had just treated the footballing side like he did the business side.
Yeah.
But he hasn't. He's had too long to try and turn it around and say he will. And now is the time to try and get change and have the hope, optimism back in this football club.